Protests rely on pithy phrases. That's what those in favour of the bill and those against have in common. In reality, the conversation on assisted dying is incredibly divided, complex and personal.
I was diagnosed with a rare, incurable type of cancer when I was 18.
I'm here because 30-odd years ago, I ended up in intensive care.
It is right that we consider this change with great care, as we are doing today.
If great care requires lots of time, then Kim Leadbeater, the proposer of this bill, was reminded there isn't much of the latter.
Order. We should be now speaking to the amendments.
Today, MPs voted on amendments to the assisted dying bill. It returned to Parliament for the first time after months of scrutiny by a committee of MPs. The bill proposes allowing an assisted death for those with a terminal illness with less than 6 months to live. Maddie Cowie lives with an ultra-rare type of cancer and has done for 10 years.
I've had to go through gruelling treatments and I've had to be really unwell. And so when the time comes, being able to do it in a way that feels right for me, I think I'm owed that.
A few decades ago, Nikki Kenwood says she was left paralysed and unable to speak after contracting a rare neurological disorder. She says if assisted dying had been legal back then, her family, without malice, may well have opted for it.
Safeguarding policing failed. Safeguarding prison failed. Why do we think we're suddenly going to be really good at this? The safeguards are a myth.
In November, MPs voted narrowly in favour of the bill. Since then, there have been more than 500 amendments, of which a third were agreed. For example, a High Court judge signing off an assisted death was replaced with a 3-member expert panel. Today, all MPs were meant to have their say, but after 4.5 hours of debate, only 2 amendments were put to vote.
There are 9 people who have amendments on this paper who have not been called to speak. So how can we call that a debate?
Last November, we saw Parliament at its best. Today, we've seen it at its worst. Today has shown that this process is not the correct process for a bill of this magnitude.
This feels like, maybe the most significant thing we do in this Parliament, quite possibly. It is incredibly important.
Today, MPs voted in favour of an amendment of health workers being allowed to opt out of helping with assisted dying. But a host of other questions were raised too.
And if a doctor raises assisted suicide with them, however tactfully or professionally, they will feel that they are being steered in that direction.
Superficially, this may be appealing as a safeguard. It represents a fundamental misunderstanding of the doctor-patient relationship. We trust our clinicians every day to raise subjects of great complexity and moral weight. I will give way.
Many against the bill argue that true choice would involve improving end-of-life care and addressing problems within health and social care.
I have been fighting for disability rights and choice and autonomy all my life. I know the territory, and this is not giving me choice. It's just making me very scared.
Emma Bray travelled to Parliament today from Devon. She has motor neurone disease, and doctors estimate she has a year to live. Channel 4 News met Emma earlier this week. Fearing a painful death, this summer she intends to end her own life by refusing her medication, food and liquids.
If you could be in the Commons today and you could look MPs in the eye, what would you say to them?
In my day, we had no control over your life. But the one thing you could do is control your ending. I want them to be able to protect them. They're very primary situations.
The consequences of this bill are deeply and tangibly felt by many people. MPs will return to debate the bill on June the 13th, when today's divisions may well be picked up again.